All right, guys. We have today with us a friend of ours. We've known each other for like 2 years now.
Yeah,
Dimitri. Already, yeah, bro. Time flies.
time flies fast.
Yeah, true.
So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and also how your week has been, man?
Okay, yeah. That's thank you for introducing and thank you for having
It's a
me.
pleasure.
So,
Yeah, we're here in Geneva in a mall. I hope. It's late. It's not late. It's 6 p.m. But yeah, we're sitting here and having a good time. Hopefully, having an interesting conversation that you guys can enjoy. So my name is Dimitri. I'm 19 years old, and I'm basically a video editor. I'm still in an apprenticeship here in Switzerland in my 4th year, and today I'm talking with those two gentlemen, and we're to the question how my week has been. It's been pretty good, pretty busy, to be honest. A lot to do this week, a lot of videos that need to be edited. But I guess it's good, and I love if there's a bit of stress in the air that makes me want to do things.
so you'd say pressure is one of those things that is crucial in life to get us moving forward.
I don't think it's crucial for everyone because some people freak out if they have if they have stress or if they have any pressure. But pressure drives me and it helps. So, and I love I don't know, I enjoy sometimes the feeling of stress.
Yeah. Life feels better when you're stressed.
You have to do things because sometimes when you get home, like I have nothing to do. It's I don't know. It's a bit of a
You just take your time. Like
Yeah.
I have one task to do. I don't have to do it now. Just chill a little bit. Maybe do it later.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous.
That's very dangerous. Well, Mark, how has your week been, bro?
Busy week as well. A lot of work. Too much work. Overtime hours are going 20 hours and upwards. So it's
Okay, crazy man.
I had a 6-day week. Just got on my first weekend. So it's a Thursday today, right? So
You lost the feeling.
I lost count, man. I don't even know anymore. So yeah, busy week. Tried to work a lot on different things. I've been focusing on the real world a lot, like you.
Yeah.
It's been pretty interesting lately. Like at the start, it was kind of different. Was kind of very simple.
It was a week. Now it's good.
It's literally booming with content. Like a lot of people are active all the time. A lot of people are willing to help. It's been very interesting. So I've been focusing on that, working on UGC skills. So been learning how to edit. That's why I need to ask some. I need to ask some advice from you because there's a lot I have to work on.
We'll get into that for sure. Yeah, I'll love to know.
Yeah, how was your week, Yassine?
My week, well, I don't work like these two gentlemen.
He's just sitting at home.
He's the guy that's chilling. He's the one. No, I'm joking. I know you do things.
Yeah, so I go to uni, and then as you guys know, I have my copywriting and a business that I do online. It's been a tough week, honestly. Like this week, every week always feels like a bit of a. You feel like a superhero at the start, everything's going well. Then the second day, you feel like everything's about to end and there's a crisis. And then you feel good again. But for me this week, I was listening to a lot of podcasts and they brought me some interesting insights. And one of the two things that were very interesting during this week was, I told you about that story when I went and did the escalade.
Yeah.
It wasn't the marathon where you run, I'm too lazy for that, but where you walk, and it was still challenging. At first I was joking around, it's walking. And then my competitive part was like, I want to win this. I need to win this. Woke up 30 minutes in it, so there wasn't much time left. Then I started try-harding, got cramps in my abdomen.
Normal.
And there was 10 minutes left, 15 minutes left, and then I remembered what my grandpa's dad told me when I was young. I used to have this when I was a little kid. I had a Lego airplane, and he was sitting there, and he was close to death, but he was looking at my grandma and grandpa, and he said, "This kid is gonna be great." I don't know why I remembered this, but it was the only thing. I was just playing with Lego back then, and I remembered these words, and I was like, I need to be great. He said I'm gonna be great. I need to keep going. And then I just felt this adrenaline, and I just kept repeating the words, and I kept moving. Oh, surpassing everyone, and eventually, like, I didn't win, but I was so close to it, and the pain was just gone. It was like I was possessed, and I wanna get to harness this energy because I feel like this energy is inside of me. I just need to get to know how to activate it better, and this was one of those moments.
Yeah.
It's crazy that all of this came only from the head or the beliefs that you had.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
you didn't grow muscles in that time, I believe, but you started thinking, and that made you walk faster. Isn't that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Isn't that?
It's crazy.
The pain was gone. It was there, but it was like that's not what matters. I felt it after when we arrived, when we made it, but then during it, I was like,
No,
don't
because I had the same feeling. I actually ran it. I didn't I didn't walk it. I didn't. No, but it was a different race. It wasn't that many kilometers. It was like 5 kilometers, which is okay. But I usually never run. It's not cardio wasn't really my thing.
yeah,
But I signed up with the gym. They were like, oh, if you sign up for the race, you have like you don't have to pay any fees. Subscriptions for free. So I was like, you know what? I'll just do it. Like there's no point in not doing it. And so I started training. I think it was like 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
And then at first I struggled to run the 1 kilometer. I'd be dead on the treadmill after one. I'd be like, bro, like my dad could run more than that. And then I trained more and more. Finally made it to 5. But then during the actual race, it was outside. It was cold. It was different. Like it's not like you expect it to be. And it's I don't know if you've ever seen Geneva, but there's like in the old town, it's a lot of like ups and downs. So you go up hills and then you go downhill and then you go back uphill. It's just weird. But I had the same feeling as you. Like at first I was running, it wasn't really that competitive. I knew I wasn't gonna win. But then I started seeing people passing by me and I'm like, I think I want to win after that. Like, come on, stop passing by me. So I started running faster and then I realized I couldn't keep up. And then I had that down moment. I was like, man, I can hardly breathe. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it to the end. I didn't doubt it, but like I was like, I gotta push.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I found that last bit of motivation that I had of like, I can do it. I know that I'm better than the people that are around me. I definitely can do it. I trained hard for this. I know that I'm physically able to do it. There shouldn't be any problems.
yeah,
And I thought about, I didn't have any motivational moment like yours that I remembered, but it's just I kind of just like pushed myself and I sprinted like the last maybe 10 minutes.
I saw that.
I did my best. I just sprinted the shit out of the thing. And that went good. But it's true that the moment you think of something and the moment you change the way you think, for example, during that race, like your body's, it's different as well. Like it's crazy. I felt it's like you said, it's like energy that just builds up inside of you. It's like I felt that energy come back, even though like 5 minutes ago I was tired. I felt the energy come back, and I felt that kind of pressure that I was putting on myself of wanting to win. That made me like really like put in the extra effort and run faster.
Yeah, it's like Nongaji said, who has run a few marathons in his life. He's just said 50% of running a marathon is just believing that you can actually, that you can run a marathon. So I guess beliefs are a big part of the things you want to achieve. And I think Andrew Tate said this as well when he was talking to his father. He said, remember him talking about that, he said to his father, I don't believe I can get as good in chess as you.
yeah,
Because Andrew Tate's father was he wasn't a grandmaster, but he was a very good chess player. And then his father said, belief is a big thing, so if you don't believe you can do it, then you will not be able to do it. So yeah, that's why a big lesson in life is, if you believe you can do it, you're already
Halfway there.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's crazy because there was a period where I would read Think and Grow Rich, and he talked about this, and I was just reading books, and it was more like belief only, no action. And then there was a period where it was only action, and then I just was like, affirmations, they're kind of useless. They're, But now I kind of came to a conclusion a few months ago that affirmations are useful when you need them. When you're doubting yourself and you hear an affirmation, that's when it helps you. When you want to give up and you hear an affirmation, that's when it helps you. But you see, like, I knew it, but I hadn't experienced it. And that's something I think, like, so many of us, because, you know, I noticed something I do a lot is, Yassine, when we brought him on the podcast, for example, he said, discipline is doing things regardless of how you feel. I knew it. I had read the quotes, I had known it, but I was going through a phase that week, which was last week, where I was just undisciplined with my sleep, with my boundaries, with everything. And when he said that, it was like, I finally experienced it, so I understand he's right.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, like, you have to go through the experience. You can know something, but still make the mistake, which helps you come to the conclusion, you know?
Yeah, the best way you learn it is by making the actual mistake and fucking up yourself. Because, I mean, someone can tell you 1,000 times not to. I mean, when we were kids, we would do dumb shit probably a bunch of times. But your mom could say to you 1,000 times, don't put your hand on the stove unless you will burn yourself. And we had to put the hands on the stove before we actually believed that she was right. But
yeah, it's crazy. And I think this experience made me realize that one of the important things is to get new experiences. This was at first I didn't want to do it. I was like, this is going to be boring. I'm going to go as family. I don't care about this. I can be working on the business, right? Just day. But we went out and it was a good experience. So I think it's important, even experiences that might seem like they're not useful, they are actually useful somehow, some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. I think a lot of times, especially when we were kids, we'd be sometimes lazy, so our parents would be like, oh, let's go out, let's go for a walk, for example, or some things that you look at as a kid and you're like, man, like, what am I going to benefit from if I go on a walk with my parents? Like, that's just useful. I'd rather stay home, play video games, and at least I'm having fun, right?
Yeah.
But the more, for example, I grew up, the more I started to just say yes to everything, you know? Not when it comes to...
Can I kill you?
I'm not sure if I'm going to say yes.
That's a good example.
But I mean, saying yes to, for example, doing new things. That's more of what I meant. Mm-hmm. So for example, my parents would be like, oh, like, we want to try this new activity, want to go to the mountains and do something new that I have never done before. I'm going to be more lenient to say yes now than I used to before. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It kind of takes you out of your little comfort zone because you're trying new things. Sometimes you try new things and you're like, I hated this, I'm never going to do it again. But sometimes it's actually the opposite. You just like get ideas from it. Like, I know a lot of times we did some basic things with my parents that were kind of new to me that I just didn't want to do before. And I maybe didn't benefit anything from the activity itself, but I'd benefit from the company of my parents, learn something from them, learn from their experiences or something that they share, or maybe a moment that we had together taught me something, you know.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue if someone's calling you?
Oh, that's a good timing.
Do you want to continue with the topics?
Yeah. The other topic, so I was listening to the podcast of Ali bin Haris, Coffee and Takes. It's a very good podcast in my opinion. And he brought this guest who actually lives in Switzerland right now, and he said this crazy quote. He said, people often say that be proud but never satisfied. But he was like, I actually think if you're never satisfied, you will never recognize what you achieve and you will never be proud of it. And he also said there's a distinction between satisfaction and contentment. They're not the same thing. And what he was also saying, when you are never acknowledging what you accomplished and satisfied with it, you always just look around, and there comes a phase in your life where all of us hopefully gonna reach a certain level of success, and there's always gonna be someone bigger, which is why you have to compare to yourself in a way. And that is why you have to even, I think, reward, that's what I take from this quote, reward the victories, even if they're small, you know? And the quote that he dropped, another quote that they dropped is, remember when what you have now is what you used to pray for. Because we're often, us, me, myself included, we're often chasing, that we never, like, if you stopped me for a second, you were like, Yassine, remember when you used to be fat and you looked so funny and you were eating erasers as a kid? And
That was crazy.
and you were scared of presenting in front of people. I would be like, oh yeah, that's true, I came this far. But we never, and this ties into gratitude, we never take the time to even just acknowledge how much we came and be grateful to God for what we accomplished and what He helped us who He's helping us become.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Especially, sometimes you just need to zoom out and just look back, because everyone wants to achieve things within a year or just as fast as possible.
Yeah.
There's also this quote, you underestimate what you can achieve. No, you overestimate what you can achieve in 1 year, but you underestimate what you can do in a decade.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And if I now zoom out and I think of the position I was in when I first met you, which you said was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly, but it's probably about 2 years ago. I was in a totally different place, and I'm in a much better place now than I was 2 years ago.
yeah,
I mean, scared of presenting. I don't think 2 years ago I was still as scared of presenting, but if I look 5 years ago, I was scared of presenting as well. So there's a ton of things that have improved, and especially, in the last 2 years, it's probably the time I've improved the most. And so zooming out and just having gratitude for what you've achieved up until this point is a good thing.
Of course.
But on the other hand, I don't think we should then settle and stay where you are, but still have some goals and still have some hunger to achieve more. So there's a middle and a sweet spot.
yeah. I agree with you. And with the copywriting, like for me personally, I didn't say this on the accountability call, but there were times where I was like, all these guys are saying you can make 2K in a few months and stuff, and they're all making 2K in a few months, and I'm out here, I haven't made money, I'm still stuck, because when I was making content, I wasn't making money still. I'm like, I'm still in the same spot. It's been 5 years, I'm still not making money, you know? And I failed to recognize, which is why now I came up with this checklist, and I put on it the tasks for the day, and then you have like boxes to tick every day. And by the end of the week, I come with a total score, so that I can acknowledge that I worked, and that in itself, which is something I wouldn't do before for the copywriting, etc., is something worth celebrating, is something worth recognizing, because it's not, money is important and it will come eventually, but at the start, you have to reach that point, and you're gonna take some time to make some money, I guess, big money.
Yeah, I think social media kind of gave us that pressure of, oh, you can make money in 2 months, you should be making money in 2 months. If you get that one course that's like $2,000 a month, you will make money in 2 months.
It's always that one course. It's always the one course.
That same guy that comes out of the Mercedes-Benz and he looks at you and he's like, do you want to have a Mercedes like me?
Well, sir, that was the copywriting course I got, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all fallen for that trap at that point.
Of course.
In a more painful or in a less painful ways. Some of us were realistic enough to think, I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's possible. And others were maybe not as realistic and maybe bought the course. But it's a lesson that we took from it, hopefully. And where you're like, okay, maybe the value in that course is good, but the promising of making 2K the next month is maybe a bit exaggerated.
Yeah. Except if you're selling drugs. In that case, making 2K.
It also depends where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Because I think if I look at all the things I've tried from, let's start at maybe May 2020 when I started with affiliate marketing back then. And then I started trying to sell my own course. And then last year in October or September, I started doing video editing. I mean, from the point when I started with the video editing offer that I had to the point I started to make money with it. It was a very short time. I made money within the first month. Obviously, it wasn't 2K, just to say that, but it was very fast. If you look at that time frame, but all the improvement and things I've learned before that on how to sell things maybe, or on how to position yourself, or what are the things you should do, what are the things you shouldn't do. I mean, if I look at my English in May of 2020, it was bad, man. It's still not very good, but it has improved a lot. And obviously, if you're trying to do video editing in English, you probably should speak English.
Yeah.
So all the things that you had to do before you actually start that specific business. So I think it depends on the starting situation you're at. If you still have a good mindset, if you already have a good mindset, if you already have a strong mind, then I think it's not impossible. But I mean, 2K it very much depends on your starting situation.
Yeah. I also heard this quote today that said, all experiences are useful. And one of the reasons, with the copywriting, it's a different experience than what I used to do with the content. And it's a new one. So I'm not gonna get to the 2K bracket from the start. It would be a bit mad. But as long as I put in the work, that's what matters. But from time to time, that thought comes where it's like, yeah, but what if this experience all this time gets wasted and it's for nothing, And hearing that quote made me realize, like, no experience ever goes to waste, actually.
Exactly. You always learn something from it, whether it's from the subject itself, or whether it's through the experience that you're going through right now, which is, getting disciplined and really working hard on doing copywriting every single day. In the end, there's still something that you're going to learn from it. And the only way you're going to know if copywriting is for you or not is through working on copywriting. You can't just know if it's right for you or not by just watching videos on it. You have to experience it.
Yeah, it's always the thought of, I might spend 2 years, like with Mr. Architect. I spent 2 years, and the experience, well, maybe I was a bit blind because I wasn't trying to get better back then. So that's a big reason why. But I'm like, I could spend 2 years, and in the end, the experience wasn't for me, But you're right to say that. I think, the guys that say you should post every single day, they forget one thing. You should post every single day, but get better every single day. Learn something new and apply it every single day. Because just posting every single day is not going to make you better. It's like the guy who works every day and doesn't improve. He's not going to get rich if he's working in the wrong field.
Yeah, I think just reflecting on the things you do, and especially if you want to improve, you will improve. If you don't want to improve and you don't look at the things you could have done better, if you don't reflect on the things at the end of the day you did good, or on the things you did bad, then you're not going to come as far. And maybe or sometimes you experience things that weren't that bad, they were okay, but they could have been better. So you have to look at it in a way of what could have improved in that time. Even if mistakes happen, take the self-accountability, look at it and be like, I fucked up. What are the things I could have done better, or what are the things I could have done differently in order for this not to happen again? Because doing mistakes is okay one time, but if you repeat the mistakes too many times, then there's something wrong within you that you haven't looked at the problem. Be like, how can I improve this? If you don't do this, then you'll get lost and you will not get anywhere, as you said.
Yeah, and I think a tangent just I want to add to this was something I would have told my old self, who thought, if I spend time analyzing what other people did on TikTok, it's annoying, I don't have to do this. Well, now, listen, younger me I have something to tell him. We are doing this either way, because we have to do it for clients, or we have to do it for ourselves to grow. So the outcome that you've been trying to avoid, you brought us back to it because you have to do it anyway. So there's no way getting around. If you want to be successful, there's going to be things you don't like to do. And one of them for me was analyzing, because I thought it took a lot of time. But if I look at the years that starting it earlier would have done for me, it would have been worth it, So I think that's important.
Yeah.
Good.
Want to move on to?
Yeah.
The other thing that I found very interesting is I heard this quote that is success shouldn't be about the destination, it should be about the journey. And the quote says, the man who loves walking will walk further than the man who loves the destination. What do you think about this?
I definitely agree with it. It's a super known quote.
Yeah.
I think if you disagree with it, then it's kind of, I don't know. I honestly don't think anyone would disagree with it. But I know through my experiences that, for example, when I worked at the very start, I used to have an Instagram page where I post Fortnite videos. So that was back back when Fortnite just came out. I had my little setup, and I'd play video games, record it, post some clips. Yeah. It was super fun for me. Like, one of my goals was to was to become famous, was to make money, but like, I genuinely had fun filming the videos, and I had fun posting them, and I was happy with that. And then I kind of switched my mindset. I was like, oh, now I need to make money. I wasn't that old. I was like 14. And so I tried different things. I tried making YouTube channels about business and other things, and it just didn't feel right, because it's not what I enjoyed talking about. It's not what I enjoyed doing back then. And so it was kind of weird, because I was just looking at the numbers. I was like, I just want the numbers to go up. I just want, to get paid. I just want to find a way to get YouTube monetization. And I wouldn't think about, I'm interested in doing that kind of content. I'm interested in improving. That wasn't the case back then. I just was looking at the numbers, and I was trying to figure out one video that would make the numbers go up, whether I liked the video that I was doing or not. And so that's why I think the experience itself of going through the steps and enjoying the steps one by one, because you're actually enjoying what you're doing, is super important.
But you don't have to like it from the start. That's something I will say. You can get to like it as you go on, because I think there's this belief that like passion is, or liking something is what you start with. But I think passion can also be created. I used to love art. When I was a kid, right? Mm-hmm. And I would spend hours doing it, but I was shit at it. And in uni, they told me, the guys were mocking me, they were like, it's shit. And so then when I started moving away and taking it a bit seriously, I started getting better. But then, I don't know what happened, my interest for it died, and I went into copywriting. And when I got into copywriting at first, it was to make money. Now I feel like I'm into it because I want to learn the skill and I want to be good at it, So what I'm trying to say is, from the start you might not have passion, but if your only sole purpose for it is money, then that might be a problem. Because I think it can be even something as simple as wanting to help people. That could be something that makes you passionate to something, This is my way of helping people.
But there is my advice for someone who just wants to start creating something, or wants to find a way to make money that's good for him, the first thing that I would tell him is find something that you like, and then explore what you can do with it. I don't think it's try something that you don't like and then see if you like it. I mean, if you don't know if you like it or not, sure, but my thought process would be, okay, here's what I like, here's what I don't like. Okay, maybe I'm passionate about, I don't know, I've been reading a lot of business books and I want to talk about them. Maybe that's what I'm going to do. I've been playing video games and the gaming industry is going well right now. Maybe that's something that I want to do. And then I go from there and I work from it. And so, for example, let's say gaming. If, for example, you're interested in, if you love gaming and it's your passion and it's whatever you want to do, there's so many things you can make out of it. You could start editing gaming videos for people and become like Dimitri. Or you could be like, oh, actually, I like creating content myself, become a content creator.
Yeah.
Or, there's so many different things that you
kind of have to still think of ways that you could make money from it. I would say the perfect intersection would be what you like to do and can you get paid from it to a certain extent is the perfect thing. So if you just do things in gaming and you just want to play games and that's what you're going to be good at, not everyone's going to be a good gamer. So you have to think of intersections, like you said. So that's why you have to be aware of that as well.
You have to be passionate and good at it. I think that's the thing.
Yeah, usually when you're passionate about it, you're good at it.
You can be good at it. And you also have to know how to market and sell it.
Exactly. That's
exactly
the point that I just wanted to bring up was there's skills you need to learn whatever you do. I mean, sales and marketing is just whatever you do, you will have to market your product in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Whether you do video editing, whether you do UGC videos, whether you do copywriting, you have to sell them, and so you have to have a basic understanding of the needs, how to supply your product, and at the end, how to do fulfillment at the end. But that's with the skill that you have. And if your passion, I mean, not everyone has the same passions, and obviously some have passions in industries that are a lot more difficult to do things than others. As you said, in the gaming industry, if you like to play video games, I mean, if you want to be a professional gamer, the gaming industry is that big, and there's so many people that play it. So for you to be good, very good at it, I mean,
you have to bring something different.
Yeah, and the competition is very high. Yeah. And in some other industries, the competition might be a lot lower because I mean, to play video games, you don't need to have a lot of skills. Obviously, you need to put a lot of effort in it and be fast and whatever. I'm not very aware of that. But there's some other industries and things you need to do where you need to build the skills a lot more. As for example, in video editing or in copywriting, you have to learn a lot of things in order to get good at the specific topic.
Yeah. That's why so many people quit, because copywriting is hard. It's not easy, and video editing, it can get boring after a while, right? So can copywriting.
So for sure,
the amount of crisis I had in copywriting, I can't even begin to count. But it's part of it, right? And many people can't take that.
Yeah, so that's why there's also people saying, and I can relate to that in some way, that don't choose your passion to make money, because at the end, you're going to work on it so much that you won't enjoy it as much anymore.
That's what happened to me with art.
Okay, I get it.
And I understand that in some point, because I still enjoy video editing, but there's some times where like, fuck, I used to enjoy that a lot more than I do right now. And it's not an excuse not to work on it, and it's not an excuse not to do it. But you get to a point where it's like, oh, man. I mean, but if you keep the hunger on it, then and you keep continuing.
Then what do you think? Should we start with something we're passionate about, or something
I'll give you an example for this. You should remember when I say you should try to get as much experiences as possible. You should try as many things as possible, because when we're young, we don't know dangus. We don't know anything.
Absolutely,
so we have to try everything. And for me, for example, some things you might already have a bias about them, and you should still try them. For me, it was working out. I remember my uncle, he did everything he could to get me to work out. Arguments, crying at 3 a.m. because I didn't want to go, because I thought they would whoop you if you couldn't lift the weight. I know, crazy mind. And he was like, I don't care, you're still gonna go. And I went. First month, at first they were like, you're gonna have to do it for 6 days a week. I was like, you crazy? 6 days a week? No, never. And guess what happened? After 2 months, I started seeing the results. I stopped being as fat, and I was going 6 times a month, even though I didn't have to, because I wanted to. But after 2 months, I think if you're gonna come to a conclusion, you have to give it time, because the results might make you change your mind.
And don't change too much as well. Don't change, just don't jump from one thing to another.
Exactly.
It's complicated. A lot of people do that.
That's very dangerous,
Exactly. So you start video editing, and then you realize you don't like it, and then you're like, okay, you know what? I did it. It's enough. I'll go to copywriting, and then you do copywriting. Actually good for you, but then you get bored of it, and you're like, you know what? I'll just do something else.
Yeah.
That's why I suggest you start something and then you stick to it for a pretty long time, because there's this shiny object syndrome where you think, oh yeah, but this business model, because maybe 2016 drop shipping we're in, now it's SMMA in 2018, so maybe I'll just start that, because that, well, there's a lot more people that actually have results in that, so I maybe do that. And then if you change every 2 or 3 months, or also if you change every 6 months, you don't have the time to settle in and to build the skill enough, and then you're just fucked. So choose something you're good at and stick to it. That would be my advice.
Yeah, and don't choose 2 or 3 or 5 or 6. One at a time.
Yeah, because there's also this analogy with passive income, or with very successful people, that they have, 5 earning streams that they have.
Just get good with one first, make it work, make sure it works well, and then...
They all started with one. I mean, if you look at Bill Gates, for example, he has surely a lot of different revenue streams, but he started with doing software, for example. That's one single thing, and he dedicated his life to it. And that's for everybody. If you look at very famous athletes, same thing. They probably now have a lot of different income streams, especially the ones that are retired, because they have to do something else, and then they have sponsorships there, they maybe have a business there. Musicians, exactly the same thing. So I think it's very dangerous to look at the successful people and to see what they are doing at the moment. You should look at what they were doing back then when they started. I think that's an advice that I don't know who gave me that advice, but it's a very good one.
Alex Hormozy gave it today. Okay. No, he just gave it today.
No, I think he did a video.
Oh yeah, don't look at what Alex is doing now, look at what Alex used to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, but another thing is also don't be scared of missing out, because this is something that happened to me.
FOMO.
Oh, if I go to copywriting, but then I can't learn this skill once it's hot, Don't be scared, and don't let the marketers trick you, because that's what they want to do. You're gonna be broke if you don't do this. They're trying to scare you.
If you look at business TikTok or business Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, whatever you might watch, you'll be tempted to change subject and to change your business every 2 minutes, just because there's some guy, and it's not that he's wrong, it's just that it's terrible advice for you, because you want to stick to one thing. Obviously, if you listen to only that guy and you stick to that thing, it might happen to you. But then if you listen to that guy,
all of them, that's what me and Yassine used to have a huge we had a huge discussion on it, and we agreed that you should stick to one mentor, and you should listen to everything that he says, and you build your trust around him and your way of thinking around him. And then if there are other advices on the side that you can maybe pick up that could actually benefit you, sure. But you can't be listening to Andrew Tate and Bill Gates at the same time, because they're not going to bring you at the same place.
Or Grant Cardone and Gary Vee.
Exactly.
Opposites.
Those two are pretty opposite.
It's like you have to stick with it.
No, you have to stick to it. And one mentor, but I think you could have one mentor for each aspect of your life.
For sure, absolutely.
Of course.
One for fitness, then you maybe have one that helps you with copywriting, for instance. And then you have one maybe that helps you with mindset or whatever other topic you have in your life. Because if you look at, again, that's dangerous to look at, but if you look at business owners, they're maybe a bit bigger. They have one that helps them with maybe the financial part of the business, one that helps them with operating a special part. I mean, if they want to, let's say, improve their YouTube channel, they're going to look for someone specific that helps them with that YouTube channel part. If they want to have someone that helps them manage their team because they have a problem maybe with managing their team, they're going to look for someone that helps them to improve the team management part.
Exactly.
So again, it's an example that may not apply for our situation, but if you look at that, it's totally normal to have different mentors. But to listen at different mentors for the same topic is very, very dangerous, because at the end they all had they all had a different journey to come where they're at that specific point.
They all started from different places.
They started from different places, and they obviously got to not exactly the same place, a bit of a different way. So I'm not saying one of the advice is good or bad, but listen to one, because that one is going to bring you a lot further than trying to listen to both of them because you think it's going to compound.
No, it's not gonna compound.
Because sometimes they're going to contradict each other, and then you're lost and
You're not going to know what to do.
That's where a lot of my overthinking came from. When I would be messaging you and you, it's messed up. But when you pick, I guess for the business and the copywriting or the aspects like business and fitness, it's fine. But with mindset and religion, perhaps pick one that resonates with you. And for the business, pick one that's where you want to be.
Yeah,
that would be my tip for that.
Yeah, if someone is not where you want to be, and that's a life advice. If someone is not where you want to be, then don't listen to them.
Yeah, and if they're ahead of you, they're still not where you want to be right now because they're ahead of you.
But they're still ahead of you, so you can still listen to them. It's not, but if you don't want to be like them, then what's the point in listening to the advice?
Yeah. The other topic that I had. Oh, you have one? You can.
Yeah, I'm just looking at what I have, what I wrote down. If there's anything. Yeah, still, we keep the topic of mentor.
Yeah.
I wrote down, do you need a mentor to be successful? Is that something, because people think that you can do it on your own, or some people might have the opinion that you can do it on your own, and also because you can learn a lot by, and that's the counter argument of it, that you maybe don't need a mentor is if you just reflect on the things you do on a daily basis, on the mistakes you did, on the things you did, you can come to a lot of conclusions yourself. So, do you need a mentor or not? Maybe.
I'll say what I think. I believe that you could make it without a mentor, but it would take maybe double or triple the time that it would take you if you're by yourself. Because when you have a mentor, the good thing about it is you can kind of learn from their mistakes because they're talking about it. They're like, in my experience, I tried this and I tried that, and I realized that this way worked. And so when you're going to come and you're going to have to choose and you're going to have to make the same choice, you're already going to kind of know the answer to that choice. Okay, it seems like this way works better. So by attempting to choose one of the two, you're going to choose the right one by seeing what he did. And I think that's the good part of it. But you could also argue that, yeah, but by yourself, you're still trying both, and therefore you learn more because you experience it firsthand, since you tried both choices and you saw like which one worked better, and you'd understand the reasoning behind it better. I feel like it's kind of up to the person. It just takes more time. It's for sure it takes more time if you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah, it takes more time and it's less likely to happen. I think so.
Okay.
Because you're doing it more off your mind. So, and some people might not know what they don't know, you know? So they spend their time trying, but they're missing that one insight. And because they have never been in that industry or they have never looked at the business though, they didn't get that insight of how to sell or market, for example. And so they never make it.
Yeah. I think a good analogy to look at it is when we were born, imagine you took away all human beings around us and you took away the parents. Would we make it? Like, I mean, it's just think about it.
Yeah.
Just think about it. Your parents are a big part of how you evolve. They help obviously a lot with the choices you do. They obviously teach you a lot about life.
Of course.
And they're kind of the first mentor that you have in your life.
Yeah.
So just think about what your life would look like if you wouldn't have people that would teach you how to walk. You wouldn't just figure out on your own how to walk somehow. I don't think that would be possible. So my conclusion will also be, you need someone that helps you in some way.
Yeah, I agree, because I heard a quote that says men like to be led. Even those who are in their households, a son likes to be led by his dad. Someone at work, you know, you're the business owner, you would like to be led by the marketer on how to market if you don't know how to market yourself, you know? And in religion, for example, we like to be led on how to have our values and what to follow. Yeah. So I think I agree with you that without a mentor, Good luck with that.
Yeah, we probably all have the same opinion on that. So yeah, it's good.
Do you have another? You could have another.
Let me just look at it. You can start with the next topic. I'll just look if.
Yeah, I was gonna say, getting firm with your boundaries and not breaking them is important.
Okay.
And I think one of the reasons we break our boundaries, the most important ones, like I'm gonna go to sleep today, regardless of what happens, at this time, is because we don't want to let someone down. But we will always kind of let someone down one way or the other. It will be you if you don't sleep on the right time you should and wake up late and etc. Or it will be that person if you do sleep and do what you need to do. Same could be said whether it's a friend or family. Now, of course, there are occasions where you might have to get over the boundary, but 90% of the time you should do what you can to stick to the boundaries you've set if they're important.
I agree. One of the subjects that I also wanted to touch, which is kind of similar to this one, is kind of standing up for yourself and your beliefs.
Yeah.
Or just yourself in general. I learned that the hard way at work because I kind of let people just step on me because, I was 17, just arrived at work, didn't know how everything worked, and the hospitality industry isn't something that's just like, it's difficult, there's really a hierarchy that people respect, and you have to be careful of what you say to whom and how you say it, and the way you talk to different people, it's different, So at the start, I was, I knew that I was supposed to act a certain way in order to fit in because you don't want people kind of picking on you because you're kind of out of the right model. So when the superiors told me, Mark, you have to do this that way. Mark, you do that, you do this, you do that. I'd always comply, yes, 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 yes. But at some point, once you put in the extra effort that you don't necessarily have to give, you give the first part of your hand, and then you have to give them your arm, and then after your arm, you give them your shoulder, and then you realize, well, damn, my whole thing is gone, So you kind of have to set those boundaries where sometimes they're like, Mark, can you work overtime today? You just have to be like, no. Okay? I already made it an exception 3 times this week, 4th time, no. So the point I'm getting at is sometimes it's kind of scary to send your boundaries. Because you're scared of the consequences. What if I say no to that guy? What is he gonna do to me?
Yeah.
Am I gonna wake up tomorrow and have no job? That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
And you kind of think, in some cases, for example, I have one of my bosses is kind of nice. You kind of feel guilty saying no. You're like, I know he needs help right now. I know he's by himself. I know I should help him, but I can't do extra hours today as well. So you're kind of it's a mix between feeling guilty or kind of scared of the consequences of putting in boundaries.
Yeah, I always have that feeling guilty with good people who need help with copywriting, but they can't pay. They can only have you do it for free. This week I stepped up for myself and I told him I can't do it for free. I'm sorry, but I felt guilty because he was a genuinely good person and his circumstances weren't good. But I realized that my circumstances weren't the best either because I'm not in a position where I'm making money and I can help. Obviously I could, but it wouldn't be my money. So
Yeah, I think you have to have some set boundaries and set values that you have on a very baseline level where you say, no, sorry, I can't. And then at the end, and I know this was something because we talked about this before the recording, is you can't make it right for everyone. It's just, you cannot. Because for example, if you have an appointment late after work, and then someone asks you, can you work overtime? You're gonna let someone down either way.
Yeah.
Either you let someone down, the person you wanted to meet up with, or you let your boss down in a way. So then you have to choose and prioritize what's the thing you want to prioritize.
Exactly.
I'm gonna give you an example that's always been hard for me and still is kind of. I've gotten better at it. It's with family.
Okay.
So sometimes, and this is why I told you once, is family a weakness? But my mother, for example, more than my father, to be honest, she likes us to stay longer at night, or she doesn't see the copywriting as something a bit serious. So sometimes when I'm in holidays working, she's like, "Why are you working? Have fun. It's gonna almost you're gonna be old anyway, and you're gonna work, you know. Or why don't you come out with us and go to the restaurant or etc. Stay late, you know." And I would often comply because part of me, because sometimes she'd use the card of, you know, one day you're gonna regret it, or one day we might die.
Yeah.
And I told you the biggest fear I have is succeeding and
your
them
family's
dying.
not here. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, this is always the hardest boundary to set. It's always the hardest one, and especially with grandparents, uncle, etc. Like I've been blessed to have them a long time in my life, and to still have them. But it's always harder because part of me is like, well, what if I regret this once they're gone?
It's harder to set boundaries with people you genuinely like, or family. You know, like you love your family, like it's people you genuinely care about in most cases. It's always hard, you know, it's either you prioritize the present or the future. It's kind of how I see it. It's, yeah, sure, right now maybe my mom will be mad if I don't go out, even though lately they've been very understanding.
Yeah.
Or in 10 years, they'll be kind of in the same spot as we are now, and I'll be like, I should have done better, I should have stayed, you know?
Yeah, but the way I look at it is obviously the probability is there, but with grandparents, I always like to spend as much time as I can with them because they're not the youngest anymore, and I know the day there will be a day where they will not be there anymore. And I'm already kind of scared of that day. I don't know how it will be. So I'm, again, also very blessed to have all four of them still alive.
Yeah.
And I like to spend as much time as I can with them. I don't see them very often, so it's a bit of a different story, obviously, than maybe for other people. And then with the closest family, mom and dad and brothers, I mean, I try to spend time with them on a daily basis, but I mean, they understand if I have to work, and I won't be around them 24/7, obviously.
Yeah.
And on the holidays, I mean, you gotta keep up the hustle. You gotta work. So sometimes there's things that need to be done, and so yeah, then I'll just do them. But yeah, I agree. It's hard, and especially hard with people you care about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I learned 3 things from this that have helped me get better is there's quality time and quantity time. And you can spend 5 hours with someone, but it's not you're not there, you're not present, you're thinking about work. There's a saying that says when you work, work, when you play, play. And that's what happens when I usually spend maybe 5 hours or 10 hours, not every day, but in summer, for example, I would feel I wouldn't be here. And I would feel bad for that time I spent. And same with friends as well. And so I learned that quality time is more important than quantitative time. The second thing is communicating to my parents and making them, you know, at first parents will try to play this card of manipulating you because they want you to be with them as much as possible. But when you make them understand that you're serious about this, that you're not going to stop, and that this actually makes you happy, not the way you say it, the way you show it, they start to be like, okay, I can't hold him back. I'm going to accept it and do my best to fit with what he has. And the third one is definitely, we tend to look at the bad as humans than at the good. Or what if they die and etc. But what if they're still alive and you're together and you're successful and you're happy and you finally made them retire, for example. Think of how good that will feel. And I think that is something to help the viewers because I know how hard that can be and I still struggle with it. But it's a must. You have to.
Yeah. I agree with that one.
Yeah.
Same.
Do you have something on that topic? Or?
I have one that I don't know
Okay, yeah,
what
go
you
ahead.
think of. Music and social media and the news and TV, when you consume them, especially today, they hold you back and they waste your time. I have friends, I won't say who they are, but I was once sitting and I was hearing the music they were listening to from afar, you know, and I was like, man, this music is just talking only about drugs, sex, alcohol, and you want to convince me it does no damage to you? It does no damage to your
You
brain?
sound like a mom.
Yeah, you sound like a mom. It's. I think with music, it's very subconscious.
Yeah.
Because when I listen to music, I listen to music on a just for the vibe, and I don't really sing with it, or I don't actively listen to what what they say when they're singing or rapping or whatever. I think it was probably rap when you're
for sure.
talking about that. And sorry. And so I think with music it's not as bad, but with news, yeah, you can poison yourself a lot and also just waste time.
I think we all have that one thing where when we spend too much time on either our computers or on our phones for like hours, and then you kind of realize I was watching YouTube and then I was listening to music, and then after that I was listening to a podcast, and you kind of unplug for a second. Your brain is kind of, I don't know if you have that feeling, it's just like your brain is kind of tingling.
Yeah.
You're like, damn bro, like it feels like I just woke up from a dream. Like time just flew by. I can barely tell you the 10 last TikTok videos that I watched.
Yeah, that's
that one video, you know, I kind of remember what the guy said, the 10 tips to get closer to God, but you know, I only retained one. And then I don't know about that podcast, bro. I forgot who was even talking in it. Like, it's a lot of information, like all at once, especially with the shorts, and that's kind of why I got TikTok away. I'm not using TikTok anymore. Like, it's useful if you watch it for like 5-10 minutes. You can't. It's not more useful than that. It's just it's horrible.
It's just stimulating the brain, and it's just a distraction. Usually, when maybe you're stressed, or you have usually when you have something very important to do that you don't like doing, homework or studying, or I know Yassine has troubles with studying, but not to point too much to you. But whatever you want to do, then you use those type of things to just distract yourself, and you feel like, oh yeah, it's business TikTok.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of working.
I'm kind of working, but you're not, because you don't retain anything of what you.
And it might not be relevant to you right now. Like, and a lot of them are motivation. Come on, like Iman, the shorts of Iman Gadzi and Andrew Tate, they tend to be motivation. I have a friend who used to, he always send me those. And I was like, bro, this is not useful, bro, to you right now. You have to find something more relevant right now.
Yeah, it helps you. I mean, it helps you with motivation when they say, Andrew Tate is the messages he puts out are quite aggressive, but it's fine. Say, get to fucking work. I mean, if that helps you get to work, then you might switch off TikTok after that.
Everyone's starting doing these videos. Even The Rock now, like he does these videos. I was shocked once I saw it. But he did that one amazing video. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's one day or day one. That was one great video that I saw. Because some videos that we see on TikTok and Instagram, they're actually good. You know, some of them are useful. Yeah. But
if you watch,
it's like 1 in 10 videos.
Yeah, and if you watch 20 of them and you don't remember one of them, then it's not useful. So yeah, but we've all been in a trap of scrolling through TikTok or Instagram. Not that we're perfect or anything, not at all.
The light just came on.
The light just came on. What was that? Yeah, we've all been in that trap, and I think it's very dangerous, and you need to be more aware of that. But I would like to tap more into the part of news. I don't know if you guys watch a lot of news, because I don't, honestly.
I don't, but I stopped, and I'll tell you why, because I realized I don't have any control over it. I don't have any control over what is going on in the news, and many of it is not always true. It's a bit of propaganda, turning people against each other, and not to get too political. Cause
you mean you can't control the events that happen?
The events that happen, exactly, and
also what's shown to you.
What's shown to you as well. So I don't like it. I think it weakens you as well. And you can't do much about it, you know? Like being aware of it. And anyway, like, let's be honest, if there's something impactful going on in the news, Tim Ferriss used to talk about this in his book, The 4-Hour Workweek, how he wouldn't read the news, but he would ask people what's going on, and they'd tell him everything.
Yeah, and I mean, when things happen, and I usually don't read the news, people are like, did you see that this and this happened? Or, you know, with the
war.
Yeah,
Nobody on most people on social media didn't watch the news in order to, just hear about it. We all heard about it. We all saw Instagram stories. We still do. Just kind of get through. Like, you'll know. Like, your parents will tell you.
Mostly
you will know.
Yeah, mostly my parents tell me, or friends. With the war, I didn't realize until someone talked about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't watch the news. I'm not very informed of what exactly happens in the war. And to be honest, I don't care a lot about what happens. I mean, it's what I see that is bad is people are dying, and I don't like that when people are dying. But at the end, there's nothing we can do against it, and we're sitting here, and the only thing I can say is I don't want to put myself on any side. I just want to say people should stop dying, because innocent people are dying, and this is never beautiful. That happened in Ukraine and Russia, and it happens now in Israel and Palestine and whatever. We don't want to get too much into the details, but it's...
Yeah, I think the only thing anyone who's not in these places can do genuinely is just use it as a reminder to be grateful and to realize, you got the good side of the lotto. So you were born in a place where you can do something. You were given a chance to do something, so do something with it, and don't waste that time, because anyone would beg to be in your position, and you're out here wasting that time like a joke. And it also grounds you that you're gonna die one day. I think that's something to keep in mind. And the other thing I was gonna say, the only thing you can do really about it is make money and get strong, and if you have money, if you already have money, help people by funding, etc. Or that's the only thing you can really do. And just make sure you're a good person who doesn't bring more bad into the world than there already is.
There's already enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that one. I think we can tap into gratitude a bit more, because I wanted to tell a story of a video I saw, and I mentioned this already on the call on Monday that we had. And obviously you weren't on there, so I'm gonna tell it again, and also for everybody that's watching. It was a video where they asked American kids, they were about 8 to 10 years old, something like that, so very young American kids, and also Afghani and Israeli kids. I'm not sure which ones they were, but that doesn't matter. And they were asked, what's your biggest wish? And the American kids all said,
I watched it.
$1 million, or I want $1 billion, or I want billions of dollars. It was usually about money. Most of them said something about money. And the Afghani or Israeli children said, I want to eat sugar, or I want to have my dad back, or I want to have my brother back. And it was, honestly, I looked at it and it was, fuck, we're in a very, very good place. Because these people have their dads taken away, their families taken away. Those people don't have good foods. They were asking to eat sugar. I mean, we can go everywhere and eat sugar if we want to. So we're in a very good place, and we should be very grateful for our position.
Of course.
Yeah, this one has stayed with me this week.
I also saw the video on YouTube probably. No, I kind of had the same realization as you. We were raised with certain standards that are still kind of held up high today. We expect to have new pants once ours rip off. Once our shoes aren't white anymore, we go buy better shoes. We expect to be able to get haircuts every month when our hair goes crazy. And we just think it's normal because that's how we live, that's how we always live. But there's some people, they'd be grateful to have one pair of socks that would last years, Okay, the sock kind of went away, they'll still wear it, they'll still be happy with it. Some people would be grateful to have like a full cup of water, and we don't even realize that because we're so used to it. Like in Switzerland, we just go to like a random bathroom and we could drink water.
Yeah.
You know, we could
Yeah.
tap water.
We're
They don't even
probably
have tap water.
we're probably in the best or one of the best countries you could get raised.
Yeah. For living standards, we're in the top.
Yeah, the man who has everything doesn't realize it until it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing. I think Iman Gadri said this. He said, when you can breathe air, I mean, it's normal to you. But when you can't breathe or you're underwater, there's nothing else you'd like more than
Breathing.
breathing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this is why I think for me, something that the other day I was reading something in the religion, you know, and I heard that there was a time where like God protects us from having, in our belief at least, from having the skies fall on us or the sun burn us, and things like hearing the voices that we hear that are loud killing us, you know, and causing damages that last forever. And that I was like, I'm grateful that we don't have these problems. And it might be something a bit unorthodox or something we don't usually thank for, but even that is something we can be thankful for, you know. Good thing we have the sun and we can support it. It doesn't burn us, you know. So yeah, it's hard with gratitude, but I think having these moments and speaking to others really puts things into perspective, because you always realize, oh, this person, I'm complaining about this, but look at this person, they can barely walk and stuff, and I'm complaining about this, but I have this. So yeah, just always remind yourself to be grateful. And when you feel down, try to replace it with gratitude. Then that helps.
I'd like to mention a subject.
Go ahead.
There's a subject. It's kind of intertwined with this one, but it's kind of the opposite. It's when people are too happy with where they are right now. You know, so a lot of times you're, you know, you feel like your life is good. I think none of us could ever relate to that because we've never kind of worked a job for more than a year or for a long time. There are some people who worked a job which pays them fine for 2 years, same like minimum wage. They're happy with it. They're able to eat with it. They're able to live in a good apartment with it. They're able to, you know, have a good life. They go out on weekends. They work during the week, and they're happy that way. And I wanted to talk about that because I feel like after working I didn't even work that long. I'm working for 4 months. I feel I kind of realized why some people just kind of get stuck in that loop of being happy with just going out on the weekends, and then working during the weekdays, sometimes going out, and that's it. I don't know if you've ever had a moment where you're related to that.
I had something written down that could be connected to this.
Okay.
You know, when people say the best years of your life are right now in uni and school, and this thing that is life is you work, you die, and that's it. And when you're young, you know that saying, when you're young, you have time and health, but you don't have money. When you're older, you don't have time, you have health and money. And when you're very old, you don't have
Health.
don't have health, you have time,
And you have money.
but you don't have health. Yeah, well, you said
you don't have health.
I just lost myself. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that concept makes sense.
And I think that is related to that. People are like, oh, the best years of my life have already gone, and this is all that's available, so might as well stick with that, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
this quote pisses me off very much, because I just think it is such a big lie. And especially when you're given opportunities and you have chances to improve, and you're just settling, giving up, you know, you're like, oh, and especially the quote of the best years of your life are right now, you know, like, they are, but they don't have to be the only best years of my life. There's still stuff that will come eventually. Why do you have to generalize it and put it to this, you know?
But get into the people's shoes that say that. So, for example, I know a lot of people that told me this quote. A lot of them are working the 9 to 5. You know, they're most of them are parents, and they go to work. And right now, they can only go out on weekends or after work. You know, and they genuinely not having the best time of their lives, because during university was the only time where they were free and they were able to go out and they had vacations and they had time, you know. And so if you kind of just put yourself in their shoes, you're like, well, from their perspective, sure, they're right, because that's like right now they're not enjoying their life. They're not able to because they have to work, because they have to bring money. But now if you put yourself in another person's shoes who thinks differently, if you put yourself in an entrepreneur's shoes who actually made it, let's say by 30 or 35 or 40, and he's enjoying his life right now while still working, he's going to tell you, look, like, sure, I maybe had hell during, like, I had fun during my uni years. There was time where it was literally hell because I was working all the time, but now I'm 40 and I'm still having fun.
Yeah.
So I could understand them.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're still gonna have a good time even if we work on businesses now. Like it's not keeping you from having a good time as long as the good time doesn't exceed the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're also gonna have a really hard time at some points where others are actually gonna have it easy because of the choices we make. So
Yeah, and I also think there's some entrepreneurs, to be honest, that think like employees a bit because they have, or they're stuck in their poverty mindset still because they've made it and they're still working. They're acting like someone who doesn't have the availability to take their time back, but they could. Yet they're complaining and they're saying, "Oh, business is always like you don't have time. It's always more busy than the job." Sure, it is at the start, but once you succeed, you can put around frameworks, and it doesn't have to be that way only.
Yeah, I think that ties back into the improving part. If you tell yourself you want to improve every day, and you reflect on all those things, I don't think this can happen because the dangerous thing is you settle for something. And that's why maybe some older people say to you, yeah, the school time or the uni time is the best time of your life because they're in a point where they're settled and they're like mildly happy. They're maybe, it's okay, but it's not the best. And they would like to have the time back. But you have to do sacrifices in some way to, I mean, you have to work on weekends, you have to work on evenings if you want to do something for your future. But yeah, getting back to the settling down and being like, oh yeah, I'm fine where I'm at right now. That's very dangerous.
Yeah, I think working a job is fine as long as you don't complain about it. If you're happy in it, for some people, because not everybody's cut out to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Some people, they can't take the stress, they can't take the lack of stability. And so that is why they can't work this long, or they can't, their concept of balance is everything is equal. While others, their entrepreneurs, their concept of balance is based on their priorities. You know, they might spend 2 hours in something and then 5 hours on another thing, working, for example, 10 hours, and then they have 2 hours for their family, or 4 hours for their family, and maybe 1 hour for their health, you know. So it's different. That's why I think so. Not everyone's made for entrepreneurship.
yeah, definitely. Some people are happy living just normal life.
The problem is when they complain. That's when it's a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Another thing I wanted to talk about is parents. You know, many times they tell you there's only one way to do things, but we fail to recognize that and we feel like, oh, they're right, it's the end of the world, but we fail to realize that what worked for them won't work for you. The 90s are gone. The advice that used to apply now might be different, you know. And I'm talking, maybe not with everything, but I'm talking about maybe the path you should take. You know, many parents, they say the only way to success is uni and becoming an A student, and that's the only way, right? Yeah.
I think it's dangerous to say that they're wrong because they have a lot more life experience than you have.
Yeah.
I mean, usually they have double or even more the life advice that you have. And look, don't listening to what they say is very dangerous, but I think they grew up in a different environment where degrees mattered a lot more.
Yeah.
and when you went to university, it was a lot more. It was a lot more beneficial, and the job market was just not the same as it is today. But not listening to your parents at all is not right, in my opinion, because they have a lot to teach.
Yeah.
But on the uni part, I agree with you. And again, they're maybe not at the same place that you want to be.
Yeah.
They're maybe working in a very successful job, but maybe that's not what you want. And if you don't want that, there's maybe another path you need to take in order to get where you want.
Yeah, I wasn't saying don't listen to them. I think my parents taught me a lot about how to be a good person and the values. And so, no, I agree, you should listen to them. And even if they tell you something you might not agree with, it's still worth listening in, because it makes you come with your own conclusions and think. What I was saying is, there's different ways. There's not just one way. And if you feel like the way they're giving you might not be it, look at other ways and see if they resonate more with you. Or if you really have no choice, try to see how you can make this way work for you that is being forced maybe onto you.
Something Andrew Tate said a very long time ago. He said that, if you don't want to go to university, because usually the thing that kids who have entrepreneurial ideas and parents disagree on is university most of the time, and we talked about it a couple of times. But what Tate said is, if you're a kid and you don't want to go to university and you tell your parents, look, I finished high school and here is my plan, I just want to go build a business and I'm going to become a millionaire, they're going to look at you like you're stupid, because, they're right. Like, what's your idea? Oh, copywriting? Okay, sure. Show me, what's the proof that you're going to make it?
Exactly.
Okay. There is no proof. You go to uni. It makes sense, even if you think about it now. Going to uni not going to uni isn't always a good idea.
Not for everyone.
Exactly. But if you come towards your parents and you're like, look, I've been working on video editing, for example, for a while, and look, I have been making this money, and this is my plan. I'm going to be working 8 hours a day, and I have a fixed schedule, and we could arrange something, and I can show you the work that I have done, and can show you some of the money that I've done, so proof that it works, and that they've seen you work and stay at home instead of going out and all these things, and they feel that you're really into it and that it's really working. I feel like a lot of parents would be more accepting of the fact of, what you're doing right now is working. I'll give you a year, for example, to show me if it improves or not. If it doesn't, then you can go to university. And in the end, no one loses. But the key thing is communication. You have to tell your parents how you're feeling, how everything's going. You can't just throw everything on them, because it's their responsibility to make sure that you're going to be okay. And if right now you're not mature enough to make a decision, they're the ones who have to realize that you're not mature enough to make that decision, and they have to do it for you. So
they just want you to do well.
Exactly.
And they think that uni is the only way, or they think that for you it's uni. But if you have developed the business in video editing, copywriting, or maybe in UGC, they have developed the business. You have developed the business that generates money. Then you do well with that. They will be happy with that. That's not a problem. But if you try to do something, or you do drugs and you sit at home and do nothing, and you don't have a job.
Of course they're not going to be happy.
That's something that no parent wants.
Of course.
I think I agree with you. To sum it up, it's all about context. It's different from context to context, and I think the people that could really be like, I'm not going to go, are three types. From the start, the ones that have a business that's working, like you said, a very good network, and they are a content creator. I've seen a guy do this, and he's crushing it. And the third one is they're going to go get a job. The other ones, but you should also think about it, because if in my case, for example, uni is an advantage because I have less time to work than you, and I have more energy and time to use that for my business. So in certain cases, it might actually be better if you even use your brain and think about it.
Yeah, in some cases, some people, because the other choice you have instead of university is learning the things online, right? Because you kind of, if you're going to learn about business and you're not going to university, you better get a course that will teach you about business in order to get some basics.
Yeah, of course.
So, you know, if you go to university and you really don't want to go there, think of it that way. If you're going to go study business in a university, the only thing you can lose or that you will feel uncomfortable about is maybe having less time. You know, you will benefit from it, whether it's like, as long as it's a business degree that's related to what you want to do, you will definitely learn something about it that will be useful for you. And even university in itself is an experience. You know, you learn some things from it. You learn who to trust, what kind of friends you have to make. There's a lot of social things that you learn, not only intellectual things. So if in the end you're forced to go to university and you're sure that it's not your way, but you're still there, just look at the bright side. Just do the most you can do out of it, take the most you can, and it's not always a negative thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's some good people that build businesses while going to university.
Of course.
There's a bunch of people that did that. It's not that you shouldn't go, but you have to know
What's best for you.
that it's consumes some time, and obviously, but it's some part of is some level of security that you have with it, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. It also depends on you as a person, how much risk tolerance you have as well.
Yeah.
Do you have any? I have.
No, I don't have anything special, but I think we've already been recording for over 1 hour, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe if you have a...
Would you have one last thing we can talk about?
Exactly,
If you don't, I can...
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to say is when you make a commitment, it's important to make commitments in life, like, you know, even talk about your stuff. I think this would be interesting because before I had the perspective of, oh, I have a business and something, I'm not going to talk about it. But I feel like ever since I've started talking about it, it's made it more real. And now I have to back up that talk, you know? I can't just be lazy. Before I would hide away, oh, I'm working, to avoid the criticism in school and the videos and the stuff. And I think that had benefits, but it also had disadvantages because A, some people might have been supportive of it that I didn't know, and B, it would have forced me to back it up. And I think this could also be said, we talked, you know, how when I was telling you I want to do it for free because it's more safe. I think that's me being a coward a bit because I have reached a level where I can ask for some money, you know, and at the same time, it will force me to commit because once I have made that transaction, now I have to do everything I can to get the results. But if I don't, what forces me to get the results? It's free.
Absolutely, yeah. In my opinion, the most important thing is to do, and then you can talk and think. There's those three metrics, but do it. I mean, as long as you do the work, it's good. But if you talk about the work and you don't do it, that's the worst.
Yeah. A lot of people do that. You know, it's like you have to have the concrete thing, and it has to be already done before you start talking about it. You can't just be like, oh, I have that clothing brand. And then, like, for example, I was starting a clothing brand at some point. I didn't tell anyone about it because, you know, in the end, for example, it didn't work. You know, like, thank God I didn't tell people that I was creating my clothing brand because how would I look now, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's good to share what you're doing because sometimes you can find people that actually enjoy what you're doing and that can support you. And I think that's something we realized with this podcast is that so many people were actually supporting of what we were doing without actually knowing it. Like, I never knew that some of these people would be interested in the things that we were talking about.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But at the same time, if we wouldn't have shared it, we wouldn't have gotten that support. We wouldn't have that kind of extra push of having to post every week. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of positives that come from it, I believe.
Yeah,
I agree.
And even I thought my uni friends would make fun of me, but they were actually very supportive because, so it's crazy.
It is.
Yeah. All right, do you guys have anything else, or
do
we call it a day?
Yeah.
Yeah, I express a lot of gratitude for having me.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
That's what I'm grateful for today the most.
Yeah, I'm
grateful that you're here.
You're here.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a little like.
Yeah, and share this with your family and friends. Come on, don't be selfish. They need to hear this. And just pass on the love and leave a like.